moved into the apartment because it was cheap. Too cheap for a place in the middle of the city. The landlord barely asked me any questions. He just handed me the keys and told me apartment 614 had been empty for a long time. I remember laughing about it at the time. I thought maybe the plumbing was bad or the neighbors were loud. I never expected the problem to be the bedroom window. The first night felt normal. I unpacked a few boxes, ordered food, and fell asleep while watching videos on my phone. Around 3 in the morning, I woke up freezing cold. The curtains were moving slowly in the dark. The window was wide open. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I forgot to lock it before bed. So I got up, shut it hard, and checked the latch twice. It clicked into place perfectly. I even pushed on the glass to make sure it wouldn't move. Then I went back to bed. A few minutes later, I heard it creak, slow, long, painfully slow. I sat up immediately. The window was opening again, not all at once, inch by inch, like someone invisible was pushing it carefully from the outside. My chest tightened. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, pointing it toward the window. Rain poured outside, but there was nobody there. No balcony, no fire escape, just 6 floors of empty air. Then I noticed something worse. The room wasn't cold anymore. It felt warm, like someone else had just walked inside. After the 3rd night, I stopped telling myself it was the wind. There was no storm anymore, no rain. The air outside was completely still. Yet every single night, at exactly 3:13 a.m., the bedroom window opened on its own. Always slowly, always with that same long creaking sound. I started staying awake just to watch it happen. I would sit on the edge of my bed with all the lights on, staring directly at the window, waiting for the clock to change. December 3rd. Nothing. Then 1 second later. Nothing. Then 1 second later. Creak. The lock twisted by itself. I swear I saw it move. My whole body went cold. I jumped up and slammed the window shut before it could fully open. I even dragged a chair against it. But when I stepped back, I noticed something strange. The room suddenly felt heavier, like the air was harder to breathe. That's when I heard it for the first time. Breathing. Soft. Slow. Right beside the window. I froze. It sounded close enough to touch, but there was nobody there. Here. I pointed my flashlight around the room with shaking hands. Empty corners. Empty walls. Empty floor. But the breathing didn't stop. It stayed steady. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. I rushed toward the window and looked outside, expecting to see someone standing on the fire escape or hanging from the building somehow. But there was nothing below me except dark streets and moving headlights. The sound suddenly stopped. Complete silence. Then my phone buzzed loudly in my hand, making me nearly scream. It was a text from an unknown number. Only 4 words. Did it open again? I stared at the screen, confused and terrified. I typed back, asking who it was, but the message instantly failed. No number, no contact, like it never existed. Then behind me, the window creaked open again. After that text message, I stopped sleeping completely. Every night felt longer than the last. I kept every light in the apartment turned on, even the bathroom light. The silence inside apartment 614 started feeling unnatural, like the whole place was listening to me. I tried wearing headphones to ignore the sounds. It didn't help. Around midnight, I started hearing tiny noises near the bedroom window. Soft taps against the glass. Slow scratching sounds. Sometimes, it almost sounded like fingernails dragging across the frame. But the worst part was the breathing. It always came back. Quiet at first, then closer each night. I started recording videos on my phone to prove I wasn't imagining it. Most of the footage showed nothing except the dark room and the window slowly opening by itself at 3:13 a.m. But on the 5th night, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. A shadow, not outside the window, inside the room, standing beside my bed. I replayed the video over and over, barely breathing. The figure was tall and thin, almost blending into the darkness. It didn't move. It just stood there facing me while I slept. I deleted the video immediately. I don't know why. Panic, maybe. The next morning, I went downstairs to ask the neighbors about the apartment again. Most of them avoided eye contact the second I mentioned room. 6:14. One man pretended not to hear me at all, but the old woman near the elevator finally spoke. She looked terrified. She told me the last tenant barely lasted 2 weeks before something changed in him. According to her, he stopped talking to people. He covered every mirror in his apartment. And every night, neighbors heard him yelling at someone near the bedroom window. Then one night, he disappeared. No goodbye, no moving truck, nothing. The police searched the entire building but never found him. Before I could ask anything else, the old woman grabbed my wrist tightly and whispered, "If the breathing gets closer, don't look at the window." That warning stayed in my head all day. If the breathing gets closer, don't look at the window. I kept repeating those words while sitting alone inside apartment 614. By then, the place didn't feel like home anymore. It felt occupied, like something else was living there with me, quietly waiting for night to come. I tried leaving the apartment that evening. I really did. I packed a backpack, grabbed my keys, and walked to the front door. But the second my hand touched the knob, I heard a soft knock behind me. 3 slow taps. From the bedroom window, I froze instantly. The apartment was completely silent after that. No footsteps outside, no voices in the hallway. Just that horrible silence pressing against my ears. I should have left anyway.
But curiosity is a dangerous thing.
Slowly, I walked toward the bedroom. Every light was on, but the room still looked darker than before somehow. The curtains were moving gently, even though the window was closed. Then I heard it again, breathing, closer this time, not near the window. Right beside my ear, my whole body locked up. I couldn't move. The breathing was deep and uneven, like someone standing inches behind me after running up a flight of stairs. I wanted to turn around. I wanted to run. But I remembered the old woman's warning. Don't look at the window. My eyes stayed fixed on the floor while my heart pounded so hard it hurt. Then, slowly, I noticed something moving in the corner of my vision, a shadow stretching across the wall. Tall, thin, wrong. It didn't match my body. The breathing suddenly stopped. For 1 second, everything felt completely still. Then the bedroom window slammed open so hard, the glass shook. I accidentally looked up, and for the briefest moment, I saw someone standing outside the window, 6 floors above the ground, smiling at me through the dark. I barely slept after seeing that face outside the window. Every time I close, my eyes, I saw that smile again. Wide, unnatural, almost excited. What terrified me most was the fact that it wasn't hanging from the building or climbing the wall. It was just standing there, like gravity didn't matter. The next morning, I finally decided to search the apartment myself. I needed answers before I completely lost my mind. I checked every cabinet, every drawer, every corner of room. 614. Most of it was empty, except for dust and old stains on the walls. Then I found something hidden behind the bedroom closet, a small crack in the wall. Inside was a thin notebook covered in dirt. The pages looked old and damaged, like someone had tried to destroy it. Most of the writing was messy and rushed, but one sentence appeared over and over again across different pages. "It comes through the window." My hands started shaking while I kept reading. The notebook belonged to the previous tenant. He wrote about waking up every night at 3:13 a.m. to hear breathing near the glass. At first, he thought someone was stalking him from outside. Then he realized the thing outside wasn't trying to get in. It was waiting for permission. One page caught my attention immediately because, the handwriting suddenly became desperate, almost unreadable. I looked at it too long tonight. Underneath that sentence, he wrote something even worse. "Now, it follows me even when the window is closed." I stopped reading after that. The apartment suddenly felt too quiet again. Then I heard a sound coming from the bedroom. Creak. Slowly, I turned toward the hallway. The bedroom door was moving by itself, opening inch by inch. And from inside the dark room, I heard breathing. Not one person, more than one. I couldn't stay in that apartment anymore. The breathing inside the bedroom kept getting louder, overlapping like several people standing together. In the dark, I grabbed my backpack, my phone, and the notebook from the previous tenant. then ran straight for the front door. But the door wouldn't open. The lock suddenly felt jammed. I twisted it harder and harder until my hand hurt, but it wouldn't move at all. Behind me, the breathing continued. Slow, patient, almost calm. Then I heard footsteps inside the bedroom. Not normal footsteps. Dragging sounds. Like bare feet sliding across the floor. I didn't even look back. I threw my shoulder against the front door, again and again until finally the lock snapped open. The second the door swung wide, I ran into the hallway without stopping. I spent the rest of the night sitting inside a 24-hour diner across town. I told myself I was done with apartment 614 forever. But around 3:13 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again, this time it sent a picture. I opened it slowly, already feeling sick. It was a photo of my bedroom window, taken from inside the apartment. I stared at the image in horror. The room was dark, except for the moonlight coming through the open window. At first, I thought the room was empty. Then I noticed someone standing beside the bed. Tall, thin, smiling. My hand started shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone. A second message appeared underneath the picture. You left it open. I immediately called the landlord the next morning and demanded answers. At first he acted confused, but when I mentioned the notebook and the previous tenant, his voice changed completely. Very quietly, he admitted something happened in apartment 614 years ago. A man died there after claiming people were watching him through the bedroom window every night. The police ruled it a suicide. But according to the landlord, they found something strange written across the bedroom wall afterward. It only enters when the window opens. For the next few days, I stayed at a cheap motel outside the city. I ignored every unknown number that called my phone, and I tried convincing myself the whole thing was stress or lack of sleep. I kept telling myself that apartment 614 was behind me. But every night at exactly 3:13 a.m., I woke up to the same sound, kriek. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then, on the fourth night, I sat up in bed and realized the motel window beside me was slowly opening on its own. My blood went cold instantly. I rushed over and slammed it shut, locking it as hard as I could. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely breathe. I kept staring at the glass, waiting for it to move again. Then I noticed something outside. A reflection, not mine. Someone standing behind me. Tall, thin, smiling. I spun around immediately. Nothing there. Nothing there. But when I looked back at the window, words had appeared on the fogged glass. You looked at me. I left the motel before sunrise and drove for hours without stopping. Different. Town, different hotel, different hotel, different room. I thought distance would help. It didn't. Because the breathing followed me. I started hearing it in every quiet place. Behind me in empty elevators. Near my ear while trying to sleep. Sometimes inside my car when nobody else was there. Then I finally understood something horrifying. The window was never opening to let that thing inside. It was opening because something wanted to leave. One night, I forced myself to read the notebook again. Hidden near the final pages was a sentence I somehow missed before. It copies you slowly. I felt sick reading the rest. The previous tenant believed the smiling figure outside the window wasn't a stranger. The longer you looked at it, the more it started becoming you. Your voice, your face, your thoughts. Then one day, according to the notebook, you become the thing standing outside the window. And someone else takes your place inside the room. Last night, I woke up at exactly 3:13 a.m. to the sound of my bedroom window opening again. But this time, I was already standing outside it.